Welcome to everyone. This week video will cover three markets, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the gold and the bitcoins. This update will be for the week of October 30th. Before we start, make sure you read carefully the disclaimer. If you like this video, don't forget to click on the like button, subscribe and click on the bell, to make sure you don't miss any future videos. Let's start with the Dow Jones Industrial Average. The 10 days cycle. The last update for the Dow Jones was last week. Last week I was expected, the actual 10 days cycle bottomed on the weekend. The cycle low occurred on Monday. The next low is expected on Tuesday, October 31st. The success rate for the 10 days cycle is 100%. The 20 days cycle. On the last week video, the 20 days cycle was expected on Monday or Tuesday. This cycle formed a low right on the time target, on Monday 23. Meeting and exceeding his price target at 33,192. The success rate for this cycle is 89.47%. The next low for this cycle is expected on November 9th. The 40 days cycle. Last week I mentioned the market trade along his cycle line, and even crossed below one cycle line, but to get a valid signal, the market have to cross below both cycle lines. This week on October 25th, we get a valid signal. When crossing happened at 33,050, providing a downside target at 31,952. The next 40 days cycle should form a low on November 9th. The 80 days cycle. This 80 days cycle should form a low on November 9th. Since the peak occurred on the left side of the cycle, this cycle still bearish. We call that left time translation. The 20 weeks cycle. On this cycle we have some uncertainty to where to place the last 20-week low. The first option is the low occurred on the July 7th week. The second option is occurred on the October 6th week. My preferred analysis is with the low on July. But for trading on short term, the 10, 20, 40 and 80 days cycles, this don't change anything. Those cycles will form their low like expected. The success rate for the 20 weeks is 75%. The 40 weeks cycle. Last week I was expected, the market cross his cycle line in the next few weeks. This week, the Dow Jones crossed below it at 33,500. Providing a target at 31,320. This target matched perfectly the 18 months target. So 31,320 should be an important support. The 18-month cycle. This month the Dow Jones crossed below his cycle line at 33,500, providing a potential target at 31,320. This target is expected to be reached by February or March 2024. Now let's see the gold market. The last 10 days cycle in gold market make a low on October 24th. And the next one is scheduled for October 31st. The 20 days cycle. The October 20th high at 185.23 was the 20 days cycle peak. The low of this cycle formed on October 24th. The next 20 days cycle low is expected between November 8th and 9th. At that time technically the market should cross below his cycle line and provide a downside target. The success rate for this cycle is 91.67%. The 40 days cycle. The last 40 days cycle occurred on October 5th. After the crossing above his cycle line on October 16th, the market kept moving up on October 20th with a high at 185.23 and meet his target zone between 187.50 and 182.40. What's next for this 40 days cycle? After a correction we should have a rally with an high higher than the October 20th high. This high should be the 40 days peak. This should happen by the end of October or the first 2 days of November. Then the market should start a correction and find support on his cycle line around November 6th or 9. That time the cycle lines will be between 180 and 177. The success rate for the 40-day cycle is 100%. For more details on the success rate, I recommend to watch my series of video about Introduction to Cycles. The links are posted below. The 80 days cycle. The October 20th high at 185.73 is only $2.45 away from the lower part of the target zone. The next 80 days cycle low is expected on December 12th. The success rate is 57.14%. The 20-week cycle. This week rally confirmed, the 20-week cycle low formed on October 5th. The next peak for this cycle is expected around the third week of December. And the low should be around January 29, 2024. Last week, the gold market crossed above his cycle line 181.80 for a potential target at 195.30. The success rate for the 20-week cycle is 100%. The 40-week cycle. The last 40-week cycle was on June 29th. And the next low is expected by January 29th. When this 40-week cycle ends, this will be the end of the 18-month cycle. The success rate for the cycle is 100%. This week, the market found resistance on his cycle line. We have to watch carefully if next week the market will cross above his cycle line and provide an upside target. On August 7th, the market crossed below his cycle line at 180, providing a potential target at 168.64. The October 5th low at 168.30 meet the target. The cycle for next week is still up, but we can expect the 40-week cycle peak forming in the next few weeks. The 18-month cycle. The 18-month cycle is pointing downward. It's for this reason, the actual 40-week cycle won't be very bullish. The low for the 18-month cycle is scheduled for the end of January 29th or beginning of February. Let's switch to the Bitcoins. The 10 days cycle. October 28th is the date for next 10 days low. The last one occurred on October 19th. Success rate for this cycle is 80%. During the next correction, the Bitcoin should find support on his cycle line. Technically at this stage of the cycle, the market should cross below his cycle line. But since there is lots of bullishness in the market, there is a high probability the market will find support. Here are the support lines for next week and their potential targets if the market crossed below his cycle lines. The 20 days cycle. The next 20 days cycle is expected on October 29th. The last time the Bitcoins crossed above his cycle line was on October 16th at 27,731 for a potential upside target at 28,904. The target had been met the same day with a high at 29,448. The success rate for the 20 days cycle is 92.31%. The 40 days cycle. The last 40 days low occurred on October 11th and the next one is expected on November 15th. This 40 days cycle low will be the second 40 days cycle from the September 11th, 2023. And according to the Hurst synchronicity rules, this second 40 days cycle will form the 80 days. If you want to know more about the Hurst synchronicity rules, I recommend to watch my series of video on Introduction to Cycles. The success rate for the 40-day cycle is 72.73%. The 80 days cycle. The last time the market crossed above his cycle line was on September 28th at 26,126. For a potential target at 27,281. This target has been met on October 2nd. The success rate is 100%. Since that time, the market keep moving up. The last 80 days cycle low was on September 11th. And the next one is scheduled on November 17th. We can expect the market to peak very soon and start his correction to form the 80 days cycle low. The 20-week cycle. This week on October 23rd, the market crossed above his cycle line at 28,322. Providing a target at 31,714, with the high at 35,198 on October 24th, the target has been met. The success rate for the 20-week is 75%. The last 20 weeks low occurred on September 11th, and the next one is expected January 13th, 2024. The 40 weeks cycle. The last 40 weeks was on June 15th at 24,797 and the next one is expected around February 5th, 2024. Last week, the market crossed above his cycle line at 24,797 for a potential target at 30,076. This week high at 35,198, meet the target. The last time the market crossed his cycle line was on August 14th, on the downside at 28,007, for a potential target at 24,797. With a low at 24,930 on September 11th, the market meet perfectly his target. The success rate is 100%. The 18-month cycle. With the 35,198 high this week, the market meet his long-time target. This target has been triggered on March 23, 2023. When the market crossed above his cycle line at 24,150 giving a potential target at 32,700. This week high can be part of the 18-month cycle peak. The low for this 18-month cycle is expected in April 2024. The success rate for this cycle is 100%. In conclusion, on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. On the short term, the November 9th is an important date. On the longer term, the cycle should be bearish until the first quarter of 2024. The gold trend is still up in short term, but soon may turn down to form the 18-month cycle low by the end of January or February 2024. On the Bitcoins, we can expect lots of volatility in the next few months. This is the end of this week's video. Thank you for following me. Next week, I will publish another market update.